Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Hare Krishna. Rasarangini Mataji, please take care of the background sound, Mataji. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajata Sahagana Raghunatha Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Welcome to this morning's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, chapter entitled The Birth of Emperor Parikshit. So, last time we discussed about Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Last time we discussed about the glorious rule of Maharaj Yudhishthir and how he was most intent and focused, attentive about not only the material welfare and upkeeping of the society, but more importantly, in engaging them in the service of Lord Krishna, in their spiritual upliftment as well. And then we just began with the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, how Maharaj Parikshit, as the child within the womb, got the darshan of the Lord within the womb of his mother Uttara. And before that, we also had given one small question as a home assignment for devotees to prepare, which was does anyone recollect the question, Prabhuji's Mataji's? What was the question that we
Hare
discussed?
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Murli Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, yeah. The question we asked was why did Yudhishthira, Maharaj Yudhishthira, trust Kripacharya even after all the things which had happened during the Mahabharata? That was the first question you asked, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you, Murli Prabhu. So, anyone would like to answer? Did you get a chance to read about this? Because I know you won't get a straightforward answer for this. So that was one of the things. But did you read about the glorious character of Krupacharya? What were his qualifications?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The
Uh,
Marathi, Guruji.
Sorry,
Yes,
come
Prabhuji.
again.
It was a Maharathi.
Yes, yes. So we will come back one by one. Prema Priya Mataji, one by one. Murli Prabhu. Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Murli Prabhu.
Prabhuji, his birth was very divine. His birth was very divine, not the normal way it is formed. The way his father had, I don't remember his father's name, but his
Shardwan.
father, yeah,
Sharadwan. Yeah. Yes,
Sharadwan.
Prabhuji.
Yes, he had left the semen, and then from there, the way he was born, the way he was taken care by the ancestors of Puru dynasty. Yeah, but that was not the only part. But the thing was, he was a very learned Brahmana. That was one factor which really helped him. Second was he was always helpful to Pandavas, even during the after Draupadi's the incident of Draupadi uh, in the concert hall. After that, when they were in the forest, he helped them through the whole process, reconcile the things. Yeah. Then thirdly was a very learned Brahmana, but also ace archer. So he was the teacher for archery for all the Kurus, including Pandavas and
Princess.
Kauravas, all the princes. Therefore, Yudhishthir Maharaj thought that, okay, there are some things which have happened, but uh, then he needed his advice to be mostly there. But last factor which I read, which was quite interesting, was this was a process of reconciliation between Kauravas and Pandavas, because by holding someone as who has played such an important role in the Mahabharata war, he was still trusted. He was brought back as a part of reconciliation of all princesses to ensure that the kingdom is run in a proper. These are the few points I could gather, Prabhuji. Some
Thank
more.
you. Thank you, Murli Prabhu.
Can I, Prabhu?
Yes, we will. 1 second, Raju Prabhu. I will just ask Venkata Narsimha Prabhu first. Venkata Narsimha Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
He was a teacher for both Kauravas and Pandavas. And before Drona take up
The
archery or other things. So
yes.
since then onwards, the Yudhishthira knows him fully well. But at that, and he is very much fond of the dynasty or the kingdom of, he is very much loyal to the kingdom, the Krupacharya, rather than the individuals. He don't bother about the individuals, and he is very much loyal to this one. And for that reason only, he has fought against Pandavas on behalf of Duryodhana. He is one of the three survivals from Duryodhana's side. That is the Krupacharya, Aswadhama, and Krutavarma. He is from Vrishni dynasty, and he is there in the at the time. Though he is in the war at the time of Abhimanyu's death, but he is not involved directly, but he is a Pratchaka. And then in the time of Aswadhama killing these people also, Kritvarma and this, Krupacharya were objecting, but he has gone and killed five sons of Draupadi, and then this Dushtadumna, that is brother of Draupadi also, that is there, and then he is not involved in anything, but since the Yudhishthira knows him about his character from the beginning, he was allowed him to the member of the royal Sabha, and then he has continued there with a loyalty, and he is loyal to the Asnapara, not for individual anybody. That is why he has appointed him as this one. And a similar type of things we can see in the history, Indian history, around 4th century. Rakshasa Amachya, who is Amachya for Nanda Rajas, and he was very loyal to Magadha, which is having the Patliputram as its Rajdhani, and he is very clever Amacha, and he used to help the Nanda Rajas very much. But one day Chanakya was ill-treated in that court, and he took oath that he will do in the dynasty, and then he has propped up Chandragupta, and finally Chandragupta won the battle, and he killed Nandas. At that time, the Amachya has left this place, Magadha, and gone exile. And
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we see some of the points that Murli Prabhu brought up and Venkata Narasimha Prabhu brought up, that the character of Krupacharya and his sister Krupi, who were born out of the great sage Sharadwan, has been specifically stressed many places in the scriptures, and there are many lessons which we can pick up from the lives of such great personalities who whose descriptions are mentioned in this particular chapter 12, which is the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. So specifically Sharadwan Rishi, although Krupacharya and Krupi were born out of union with a heavenly society girl, he did take responsibility. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He did take responsibility in terms of teaching the both the military skills as well as other important skills to both this brother and sisters, and subsequently the upbringing of these children was done by Maharaj Shantanu, the patriarch of the Kuru dynasty, the father of Bhishmadev. And subsequently, we also see that the integrity of such great personalities, these great Brahmanas, we will also discuss about some of the other examples that are mentioned in chapter 12, including Dronacharya and all, was such that although based on a time, place, and circumstances, they had to play a particular part because of their affiliation to a certain party, but that did not in any way impact the integrity of their character, which was recognized by Maharaj Yudhishthir. And subsequently, they did prove that decision right by properly discharging those duties that were assigned. Another example Srila Prabhupada quotes in this regard is Dronacharya teaching military art to Drishtadyumna, the son of Drupad Maharaj, who was in fact meant to kill Dronacharya. But the integrity was such that because this student has been given in my care, he will be given the best possible learnings as good as any other student, even if he is meant to be the cause of my death. In fact, even in one of the interactions that is mentioned in chapter 12 between Dronacharya and his his favorite student Arjuna, Dronacharya, after awarding Arjuna a particular type of weapon, there is a conversation between the two where Dronacharya takes commitment from Arjun that he would use that weapon in future when there is a battle between two of them. That means Prabhupada mentions that Dronacharya did foresee the war of Kurukshetra taking place. So the point is, whatever part they were playing in affiliation to a particular party, that did not affect their integrity. They were still persons of impeccable integrity and trustworthiness. So that is the reason why Maharaj Yudhishthira, recognizing this particular qualification of Krupacharya, did hand over the care of Maharaj Parikshit to him. So let's proceed. Now we will proceed with the glorious characteristics of Maharaj Parikshit, some of which have been discussed in the earlier verses, including text 17, 18, where specifically Maharaj Parikshit is being glorified by the Brahmanas as Vishnu Rata. Vishnu Rata. What is the meaning of this word? Prabhuji's Mataji's Vishnu Rata. Yes, Vandita Tungavidya Mataji, unmute yourself.
Vishnu Rata, Parikshit Maharaj.
Yes, what is the meaning of Vishnu Rata? A significance. Prabhupada gives a translation of this word.
He's protected by Vishnu.
By Lord Vishnu, is completely surrendered to Lord Vishnu and personally protected by Lord Vishnu. So
Lord
that's why he is glorified by the Brahmanas as Vishnu Rata. So in response to this initial glorification of the qualities of Parikshit Maharaj, there is a very specific question that is asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj to the Brahmanas, which is in the glorious lineage of the Rajarshis, in the glorious lineage of the great saintly kings that Maharaj Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas are coming into, would Maharaj Parikshit as the grandchild of Arjuna and the Pandavas inherit same glorious characteristics that the Rajarshis have imbibed over the generations? That is a specific questions asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj. Before we go into the group exercise where we will request devotees to go through specific verses, group wise, let us quickly check the glorious dynasty of Pandavas. Last time we discussed that how Pandavas, who are known to come in Kuru Vamsha, starting with the great king Kuru, they also inherit their birth coming from Maharaj Puru. So we discussed both Maharaj Puru and Kuru, Maharaj Kuru. So starting with Maharaj Pururava, whose description also comes in the subsequent cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, one very important point to understand is we can truly appreciate these great personalities only when we acknowledge their glorious contribution to the mankind. If we judge them based on our very limited intelligence, that oh, this personality fell down to the material attraction in this and this scenario, then we would never be able to learn from them, right? So all these learnings in terms of even the wrongs, this we discussed in terms of the section of Narada Muni describing his past life to Vyasadev, that these great personalities are not embarrassed of describing their own shortcomings and the setbacks, the fall downs that they have had in their own life, provided it helps the listener, provided it helps the audience to uplift their own spiritual life. So if we utilize these examples for our own spiritual learnings and upliftment, then it is fine. But if we are critical in judging them rather than benefiting, we will have serious problems in our own spiritual life. So let us focus only on those aspects which are positive in relation to the topic we are seeing. So Maharaj Pururava, he was a great king who at one particular time did feel attraction towards the heavenly damsel Urvashi, and the great story we will learn in later cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. However, most important part, more than Maharaj Pururava getting attracted to Urvashi, is about Maharaj Pururava coming back to his senses and realizing the policy of a life of sense gratification, and then conducting a sacrifice, dedicating himself completely to surrender to Lord Krishna, and finally going back home, back to Godhead. So from Maharaj Pururava, the great lineage continues through Maharaj Nahusha and Maharaj Yayati. So for Maharaj Yayati, although the sons mentioned are only 4, if I remember correctly, there are 5 different sons that Maharaj Yayati had, and he again got attracted to the daughter of hang on, who was his wife? Anybody recollects Maharaj Yayati's wife?
Devayani.
Devayani.
Shukracharya's
Shukracharya.
daughter.
Shukracharya's daughter. Thank you, Mataji. So Yayati got attracted to Devayani, and basically both of them were attracted, but first proposal was made by Devayani, and Yayati Maharaj was a bit hesitant because first of all he knew his own birth qualification as a Kshatriya, and he knew that Devayani came from a Brahmanical family. So there is a concept of Anulom and Pratilom marriage in scripture. So usually the matches would be made within the same social order. But subsequently, Shukracharya did give a concession to Maharaj Yayati so that he could marry his daughter and subsequently have a married life. However, the history goes on how he was subsequently attracted to the friend of Devayani, Sharmishtha, and basically he landed in a very difficult, awkward situation where he lost his youth, and the only workaround that was offered by Shukracharya was if one of his sons becomes ready to exchange their youth with the father and get the father's old age in return. And no son was willing to do that except for the youngest child, Yadu. And subsequently, Yayati Maharaj did come to his senses and repented his actions pursuing sense gratification, and again exchanged back his youth to the youngest son Yadu, returning Yadu's youth and accepting the old age. And this Yadu, who was specifically blessed by Maharaj Yayati, became the patriarch, the from whom the Yadu family originated. And then the great lineage from Maharaj Yadu continues. The Vrishni dynasty, the Andhaka dynasty, about whom we read in Krishna book, are all coming from Yadu, Maharaj Yadu. So from Vrishni, we see King Shurasena, who was grandfather on father's side for Lord Krishna, and from Andhaka comes Ugrasena, who was the grandfather on mother's side of Lord Krishna. So of course, not literally because Devaki's father was Devaka, but they came in the same lineage. And then subsequently coming back to our today's topic, from Yayati also came King Puru, and from King Puru came Dushyanta, who married Shakuntala, whose daughter was Shakuntala, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Anyone recollects? I forgot. And,
Vishwamitra.
Vishwamitra.
and Urvashi's.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Vishwamitra, it's mentioned.
It's
Vishwamitra.
there. It's mentioned there, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. And from Dushyanta Shakuntala came the great king Bharata. Now, Prabhupada explains in the purport, there are 3 great personalities with this name Bharata. One is the son of Maharaj Rishabdev, whose description we will see in Canto 5. Second is the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. And third is the younger brother of Lord Ramachandra, Bharata. And specifically, Bharatavarsha is believed to be known as Bharatavarsha from the son of Rishabdev, Maharaj Rishabdev. And Prabhupada mentions some authorities also consider Bharatavarsha to be named after the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. But it is secondary. The point is, he was a great personality coming in the family of Rajarshis, who is being referred to by Maharaj Parikshit. And Prabhupada mentions that because of Bharata, the son of Dushyanta, in Bhagavad Gita, we see many places Lord Krishna referring to Arjuna as Bharata. That means that person who has come in this great lineage of King Bharata. So that means this great Rajarshi is also being referred to by Lord Krishna many times. And then to Maharaj Bharat comes Kuru, whose dynasty, whose family is known as Kuru Vamsha. And then from Kuru, there is another separate family tree in which Maharaj Shantanu, and then from Maharaj Shantanu's own son Bhishma, because he could not beget children directly due to a very specific circumstances, Srila Vyasadev, who happened to be the son of Satyavati and Parashar Muni. He was made to beget children Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura from the three queens of Vichitravirya. And then subsequently, the family tree goes on up till Pandavas, and third picture shows the family continuing beyond the Pandavas. So coming back to the verse, Maharaj Yudhishthir is inquiring from the Brahmanas, would the child inherit the glorious characteristics of all these Rajarshi kings, starting from Maharaj Puru to Maharaj Kuru to Maharaj Bharat to all the great Rajarshis in the Kuru dynasty. So let us now have a breakout rooms. So total there are 12 different verses in which various great characteristics of Maharaj Parikshit are mentioned. While the examples are mentioned, we would also need some time to go through these purports to cover as many of these great personalities as we can that are mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's purport. Don't take too long, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, for this exercise, because we would need a bit more time to read through all the purports and discuss these glorious personalities. So the group task is we will go through text 19 till 29. 19, 20, so total 11 verses, and these 11 verses we will divide into 4 plus 4 plus 3 in 3 breakout rooms, and if devotees can go through these respective verses assigned for their groups and list down the glorious characteristics, even the comparisons are made that in this particular glorious characteristics, this is the personality who Maharaj Parikshit is a close match with. And then we will, as part of the group discussion afterwards, we will go through the glorious characteristics of those comparisons that are mentioned. Is this clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, the exercise? So let me put it on the chat. Hare Krishna. Attendance we will share in the end, Mataji's, Prabhuji's, okay? Anyone has any questions? So group 1, breakout room 1, you can cover 19 till 22, 4 verses. Group 2 can cover 23 till 26, 23, 24, 25, 26, 4 verses. And the last group can cover 27 till 29th. Okay? And let's take about 6-7 minutes, and then 1 or 2 minutes for discussion within the group, and then we come back to the main room. Hare Krishna. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, before I begin the breakout rooms?
Clear, Prabhu.
Okay, fine. And if devotees are comfortable, one of the devotee can also have if you have a pen sheet, paper sheet and a pen in front of you, maybe you can have a tree chart or a chart to show the glorious qualities of Maharaj Parikshit from these verses. So it is easier to explain rather than plain text. Devotees can catch the qualities very nicely if it is a pictorial presentation. Hare Krishna. Yes. Prabhuji's Mataji, was the time sufficient or you had to rush?
Enough, Prabhuji. We had enough time in our group.
Okay.
Perfect, Prabhu.
Ours is the first group.
Okay.
And Gita Mataji is going to, Gita Pradeep Mataji is going to present.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So let all the devotees join in first.
Yes.
Shri- Geeta Mataji, have you drawn any chart? Was it possible? If not, you can explain just.
Just took down some points. No.
Okay. Okay, fine. Is it on your laptop that you would like to share?
No.
Okay. Okay, fine. No problem. So you can, yes, Mataji, you can start.
Yeah, first of all, Parikshit Maharaj was saved and protected by the Lord himself. For this reason, he was, from birth, he was well known as in this world as a protected by the personality of Godhead. Therefore, the child becomes first-class devotee and he will be qualified with all good qualities. He will be following Brahmanical principles like his ancestors, Ikshvaku and Manu, being true to his promise like King Rama, the personality of Godhead himself. He will expand the name and fame of the family like King Bharata. He is magnificent donor of charity like Shibu Maharaj. He's used to protect who is surrendered to him. Amongst great bowmen, he is as good as Arjuna. He will be as irresistible as fire and as unsurpassable as the ocean. He will be as strong as lion, as worthy a shelter as Himalaya mountains. He will be bearing as earth. He will be bearing as earth and tolerant as his parents. So these are some good qualities of Parikshit Maharaj according to the Prabhupada.
Thank you, Geeta Mataji.
Yeah.
So let us try to go through now. It won't be possible for us to cover examples of all the great kings who
Yes.
Maharaj Parikshit is being compared against. However, let us try to go through some of these personalities. Okay.
Yeah, those who are wants to add something, they can.
Yeah. Any other devotees from group 1 want to add anything?
Vipin Vilas Prabhuji, you wanted to tell about the first quality.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Actually, these are like King CB. We know the story of King CB because he was very much known for his donation plus protection. Who is going to surrender him? Barabar. So same way, Parikshit Maharaj also, while he observed that Kali was harming this cow, this bull. So first he decided to kill him. But once the Kali surrendered him, then he has protected him and he has given him the place. So that was that's why it is told that protector and like it was compared. He was compared with the CB, King CB. So that one I would like to add. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vipin Vilas Prabhu. So in all these great personalities, whether Maharaj Parikshit or some of the ancestors, kings that are mentioned, they are so magnanimous. Hare Krishna, there is some background sound. 1 second. Yeah, so the specific point is mentioned, they were able to give shelter even to personalities who came from a very sinful background or their activities were very, very sinful. Like for Parikshit Maharaj, specifically, the example is mentioned of he giving shelter to Kali, the personality of Kali. Hare Krishna, Vipin Vilas Tour, who is the other? You want to share something? Okay, so here I have put some notes. What is it? Yeah, so for Maharaj Shibi, it is specifically in the subsequent purports, the example is more elaborated, where the great devatas, Agni Devata and Indra, they came in the form of a pigeon and a hawk chasing the pigeon. And the pigeon took shelter of the king Shibi, and basically both the pigeon and the hawk claimed that we are your citizens and it is your duty to maintain us. So pigeon said, please protect my life, and hawk said, this pigeon is my food, so it is your responsibility to provide food as well. And subsequently Maharaj Shibi agreed to give part of his own life, the flesh, part of his own body in the form of flesh, to basically equivalent to the weight of the pigeon and satisfy both the hawk and the pigeon. And subsequently, when Maharaj Shibi was willing to give up his own life because somehow the pigeon weighed higher than him, then both the fire god and Indra, they assumed their original forms as devatas and they blessed King Shibi. And it is explained in the purport how this Shibi Maharaj and Maharaj Yayati both were good friends and they subsequently attained heavenly kingdom. One important point to understand is, as a practicing devotee sadhakas, we many a times deride heaven. But the main reason for that is because the heavenly enjoyments, material enjoyments, are of so high standard that they are distraction to a practicing devotee in progressing in their path towards Lord Krishna. But such great devotees like Maharaj, Shibi, so on and so forth, Srimad Bhagavatam explains that there are devotees even in the heavenly planets. That means devatas are Sakama Bhaktas, but even greater devotees than Sakama Bhaktas. It is just that they have been assigned a specific service or a place in that particular circumstances to live in that particular setup. So that doesn't mean that everybody who stays in a heaven is a Sakama Bhakta. But more or less the devatas are considered as Sakama Bhaktas. In fact, there is a famous verse by Lord Shiva to Mother Parvati glorifying the position of devotees. We'll just try to see that verse where he mentions that even if such devotees are placed in heaven, earth, or hellish planet anywhere, Hare Krishna, Adidev Gopesh Prabhu, please go ahead. You want to share something, Prabhuji? Please unmute yourself. Hare Krishna. Not sure if Adidev Prabhuji is having some issue with the mic, but this is the verse in which Lord Shiva glorifies the position of devotees. Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibyati swarga apavarga narakeshu apitulyartha darshinaha. That means such a devotees of the Lord, they don't fear any condition of life. For them, even if they are based out of heaven or hellish planets, they are all the same. For they are interested only in the service of the Lord. We see great devotees of the Lord like Lord Maharaj Shibi. He is also being placed in heavenly planets for that particular period in time. So it doesn't impact such a devotees wherever they are placed, as long as they are connected in service to Lord Krishna. So this is about Maharaj Shibi. Any other personality who we should discuss? Prabhupada stresses time and again that this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna to Sun God to his son Manu, who is Vaivashvata Manu, and from Vaivashvata Manu to Ishwaku, who is being referred to in this particular translation. So Manu in Bhagavad Gita context means Vaivashvata Manu, our current Manu. And Manu mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, like Kardama Muni, Devahuti's description and all that, is Swayambhuva Manu, who comes much earlier in the day of Lord Brahma. So don't confuse between these two. Yes, let's proceed.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, yes, Vipin Vilas Prabhuji.
In connection with the verse you mentioned, the same way Arjun also, when he was went in a Swarg, then I think Ramba or this one Menka,
Urvashi.
Urvashi. Yeah, Urvashi also offered. He also told, but Arjuna denied that. And after that, Arjuna was cursed, so that and that curse it was utilized during the exile period for Bhavana. Okay.
Yes.
Also, Hare Krishna.
And the particular incident what Vipina Vilas Prabhu just quoted is also mentioned in today's section of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Hare Krishna. Let me see 1 second. Yeah. So Arjuna was offered hospitality by his father, King Indra, in the form of the society girl, heavenly girl, Urvashi, and who desired to unite with Arjun. But Arjun, considering the same family tree that we saw, let me just open it again. We see that in the family ancestor tree of Pandavas, Maharaj Pururava is the patriarch, and Maharaj Pururava was attracted to Urvashi. So Arjuna, considering that his own forefather Maharaj Pururava had union with Urvashi, he considered Urvashi his mother and refused to accept her, and subsequently he was cursed. So let us proceed.
Prabhu, is it called Yaduvamsh because of Yayati, or by itself it has a name?
Yaduvamsh is called because of the youngest son of Maharaj Yayati, who was Yadu, and who became glorious because of exchanging his youth with his father.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah.
And see, there are many important aspects. Like one important aspect is all these great personalities being ready to sacrifice even their prime possession just to please their authorities. Like we also see in the case of Bhishma Dev, as a what was Bhishma Dev's Devavrata. His earlier name was Devavrata. He was ready to accept a very severe vow for a Kshatriya of lifelong celibacy just to satisfy his father. Actually, his father didn't even ask him, but he knew that his father desired to marry Satyavati, and who won't marry him because of considering Bhishma as a threat that he would inherit the kingdom. So just to fulfill the desire of his father, Bhishma Dev took a very severe vow. Similarly, Yadu also exchanged his youth. So such first example we saw that great devotees not being afraid even to accept Swargaloka as long as they were in service to Lord Krishna. Second point is these great personalities, although also being willing to sacrifice even their most cherished or most valued possession just to satisfy their authorities. For Manu, we discussed that this particular Manu is Vaivashvata Manu, the seventh Manu out of 14 in this current day of Lord Brahma. Other names you can read through.
Sure, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lord Ramachandra, more or less, we have read, heard, and studied about him thoroughly. The Lord, this is Lord Ramachandra. The Lord is specifically the protector of the cows and brahmanas. And this verse I have marked, which we sing when offering bhoga to Lord Krishna. What is that verse, Prabhuji's Mataji's? Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Nama. So while offering foodstuffs, bhoga to Lord Krishna, first we pray to our own spiritual master, followed by Srila Prabhupada. Those of us who are not initiated, we pray to Srila Prabhupada the pranama mantras. Then we pray to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya, that particular verse 3 times, followed by this particular verse glorifying Lord Krishna's position as a special protector of Brahmanas and cows, the Brahmanical culture and the cows. Such Lord Krishna, we offer that Bhoga Prasadam. And Prabhupada mentioned that even if we are short of time in chanting all these verses, minimum we should chant is to our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, that then they would offer through Guru Parampara to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna. So coming back to this particular context, for Lord Ramachandra, he specifically mentioned, Srila Prabhupada mentions 2 qualities of the Kshatriya kings in his purports. One is their charitable demeanor, very charitable, like we saw in the case of Maharaj Shibi and so on. And second is in terms of their willingness and ability to protect each and every subject, including the mischief mongers, including the trouble givers, like Maharaj Parikshit protected Kali and so many personalities. They protected other demoniac persons. Like for Lord Shiva, we will see these examples as we proceed through the purport. Any other point, group 1 devotees, before we proceed? Hare Krishna. I am not going through the entire purport, otherwise it will take very long. So 1920, 1 second. Esha data sharanyascha yatha hi aushi nara shibi. So this is the comparison given with Maharaj Shibi. In data, in giving charity, Parikshit Maharaj is just like Shibi. And Yasho Vitanita Swanam Daushantir Eva Yajvanam. And in spreading the glories of the family, Parikshit Maharaj is just like Bharata, Maharaj Bharat, the king, the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. So we proceed 1 second. Yeah, these 2 points we just mentioned, that a Rajashi is specifically known by his charitable disposition and protection of the subjects. And these 2 qualities were prominent in Maharaj Parikshit as well. So this story we discussed. About Bharat Maharaj we discussed. Yeah, and about the glorious characteristics of Maharaj Bharat, the son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala, Bhagavatam mentions that even as a young boy, Bharat Maharaj was able to defeat the lions and the elephants with bare hands. And Prabhupada writes, because of the boys becoming so strong, more than the so-called modern Tarzan, the rishis in the forest called him Sarva Damana, who was able to control everyone. This is the personality with whom Maharaj Parikshit is being compared to.
He actually was counting the teeth of lions and
lions, tigers. Yes, Prabhuji, yes. So this story is also available. And in comparison to Arjun, Prabhupada mentions how both Arjuns are being referred to. One is Parikshit Maharaj's grandfather, Arjun, and second is Kartavirya Arjun, who was also a great archer. So both were great personalities, and Parikshit Maharaj is compared against both of these great personalities. Rest of the purports, all of you can go through. And in the subsequent part of the purport, Prabhupada also mentioned that how Arjuna had 4 different wives. So pictorially it is easier to understand. 1 second. So these 4 different wives were Draupadi. Is it readable, Prabhuji, or should I make it bigger?
It's readable, Prabhu.
Readable.
So Arjuna's 4 wives, Draupadi and Subhadra, we are quite familiar with, so no need to go into details. But Chitrangada specifically, she is mentioned as the princess of the king of Manipur, and from whom Arjuna had son Babru Vahana. Babru Vahan, and subsequent descendants of Babru Vahan are considered as the royal dynasty of Tripura and Manipur. So that is explained by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. Ulupi. And similarly, Ulupi, do you recollect Prem Prakash Prabhuji, who's
Yeah, she was from Nagaloka.
Nagaloka? Okay.
She's a beautiful princess from Nagaloka, and she had a son, Aravan.
Iravan. Okay.
Iravan.
Iravan. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Arjuna married these princes in a very, very peculiar scenarios, and who were the subsequent progeny, what were their glorious characteristics. So it is mentioned that one particular time, this son of Arjuna, Babru Vahana, even defeated Arjuna, and Chitrangada saved Arjuna from Babru Vahana. So these are the great descendants from Arjuna and in the family of Maharaj Parikshit. I'll proceed. Yeah, and one more important point is the glories of these great ancestors of Maharaj Parikshit, specifically Arjuna, how Vipina Vilas Prabhu mentioned that these personalities went to various places which were materially very attractive, including Arjuna visiting heavenly planet, receiving the hospitality, but still not getting affected, as well as Arjun fighting various great personalities, including Devatas like King Indra, like Lord Shiva, and satisfying them through his valor, through his might, and receiving great benedictions, great weapons from them. Like Lord Shiva, he granted Arjuna with Pashupatastra, which we saw Arjuna having used earlier. Similarly, from Yamaraj, who is the father of Maharaj Yudhishthir, Arjuna pleased Yamaraj and got Dandastra. From Varuna, he got Pashastra. So basically, when Pandavas were exiled, Lord Krishna, foreseeing the battle of Kurukshetra coming, he guided Pandavas and specifically Arjuna to collect all the different weapons from different devatas and prepare themselves for this battle subsequently. From Indradev, Arjuna received Vajra weapon. And he also received military training from Indra as well, being his father. Prabhuji's Mataji's, feel free to stop me in between if you are not clear with any specific point. Like when I mentioned Yamaraj as Yudhishthir's father, why we are mentioning so? Indra as Arjuna's father, why we are saying so? These are all great personalities who were invoked by Queen Kunti to beget these children because Pandu was unable to beget.
Lord Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Lord Agnidev has given the chariot to the Arjuna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, let me see. We proceed. Yeah, so for Urvashi, we discussed earlier. Babru Vahana, we discussed. Yes, and one important point Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport is despite Pandavas receiving all these great astras, all these great weapons from so many great personalities, when the purpose was met, which was to utilize those in the service to Lord Krishna, based on Krishna's desire to establish Dharma Rajya, subsequently, when it was time for the Pandavas to retire after Lord Krishna departed back for the spiritual world, they deposited all these weapons back by putting them in the waters based on the instruction of Vyasadeva. That means they were not at all attached. We see Arjuna, he was not at all depressed when he was defeated by the cowards while trying to bring back the queens of Dwarka. He basically glorified Supreme Lord Krishna that when you needed, it were you who empowered me, and when that empowerment was not needed, the same personality you yourself took away that empowerment, and I got defeated by the ordinary coward men. Of course, we learned that those coward men were Lord Krishna's own expansions. Yes. nobody else could touch the queens of Dwarka.
काबे अर्जुन लूटियो वही धनुष वही बाण.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. And this we will study in detail in subsequent part of Canto 1 after the Pandavas retire and hand over the kingdom to Maharaj Parikshit. Yes, this is a very important point about glorification of Maharaj Parikshit, that he was as strong as a lion. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that one should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. Can anyone explain, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what is the meaning of this particular statement by Prabhupada? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhuji.
The household activities and the house is usually run by the queen of the house. The man's responsibilities are restricted to getting enough resources to run the house. So he has to be a lion to get those resources from the world, but he has to follow the instructions of the wife who is in charge of the house. And that's why he must behave like a lamb in the house and lion in at the outside. Otherwise, there will be a war at home.
Otherwise, there will be a Kurukshetra. Yes. So this is one way. Thank you, Prema Prakash Prabhu, for sharing this. And we can trust Prema Prakash Prabhu, he being an experienced householder himself for so long, for a successful householder. So this is one way of looking at it. Any other way
Hare
of
Krishna.
understanding this statement?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'll try. I'm not very sure though. So what they are talking about is when it comes to chase means it's typically talking about enemy, right? So, or if they have to upsurge enmity. So at that time, he shows his power and his strength. Whereas at home, when he refers to it, talks about all of them, not just wife. I mean, my understanding is not just wife or the family, but everybody at home. It could be family, extended family. So it's not, they always say, right? It's not about winning the war or a battle. It's just about, it's not about the argument, it's how you get along. So where it has to be submissive, he has to be submissive to play the role of a lamb. But where he has to be aggressive to catch and teach a lesson, then he plays the, king of the jungle lion. That's how I understood.
Yes,
Right.
so this is quite close because Srila Prabhupada does explain this statement in one of his classes where he mentions that being a lamb at home is in the association of devotees. One should be always submissive. Even if, say, for example, there is a mistake that is mentioned, and even if we feel that we are justified in the way we have acted, we should always be submissive in the association of devotees to accept one's own fault. And it is mentioned, if we accept a fault in the assembly of a devotee, the faults, the anarthas, they will fly away, just like the birds fly away when we clap. But in the outside world, while facing the responsibilities and all, one has to be a lion. Lion doesn't mean that one would unnecessarily be aggressive and all, but one is bold when required to do so. Like we see in the life of Srila Prabhupada, when this personality, Mr. N, wanted to hit Prabhupada in the dealing of Juhu temple land, ISKCON Juhu Mumbai temple land, in the acquisition of that land, this Mr. N, the earlier owner, he had taken money from the devotees, but wanted to cheat the devotees by not handing over the land and usurping the money and the land both. And Prabhupada was just like a lion. He opted for every single mean at his disposal, including contacting the influential personalities in the social setup who were favorable towards the devotees, including guiding his own disciples very, very meticulously. Hare Krishna, how to handle the legal aspects of the case so that legally also devotees have the case foolproof. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, there is some background sound. So in terms of making sure that the devotees have a foolproof case to protect Krishna's interest in the court as well. So like this, we understand in the association of devotees, one should be very submissive, but while protecting Krishna's interest in the outside world, if required, one is like a lion as well, as bold and as menacing. Of course, menacing in the right word, right way, not negative connotation. We proceed. All these other highlighted parts, devotees can read through at your leisure. Prabhupada basically mentions how nature has everything provided for everyone, sustenance, and even if one is not so materially endowed with, we can still take shelter of the what nature provides, including the Himalayan mountains, etc., for one's survival. So 19, 20, 21, 22, these form the group 1. Sorry for taking bit long. We now go to group 2. Will be the devotees who will be presenting from group 2. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Yeah, actually, I had not gone through the purport and just explained. I was busy throughout last week, but I was helped by Radhika Mataji. So if she's free, she can take up. So she has she has gone through the purport. Radhika Mataji, can you please present, or I can only tell the points. I won't be able
Yeah,
to.
you tell the points, Mataji. So if there's anything to add, I'll do. No problem.
Yeah,
So, thank
because
you.
I've jotted down the points, whatever she has told me. Yeah, so he had the equanimity quality of Brahmas. There's a calm nature he had at all times, and Shiva's nature of beneficent. That is, he's very generous in giving, bestowing blessings, or he was very liberal in charity and all. And he had Narayana shelter. He was giving shelter to all, as he's present. He's there in everybody's heart. So he's like, for giving shelter, he was like Narayana. And in verse 24, it's given as Ranti Deva. So he was magnanimous.
So before we proceed to next, let's go a bit more detail into these examples. Can we think of one example of equanimity of mind in case of Maharaj Yudhishthir? Anyone? There are many examples. Any one example we can think of?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. One part of the same group. So one thing we can talk about is that multiple occasions, like even when he comes to know that Parikshit is not going to make it after a particular age, or Krishna, he keeps it to his heart. And more equanimity we can see during his first visit, where 4 of his brothers are not there. I mean, when Dharmaraj questions him, and when he has this a chance to resurrect his brother, he chooses one from his brother, and one, he says he's alive, so one more should be from his stepmother Maitri. So he was choosing the other 2, which is one of the greatest equality, because they won't be able to do that. So he was very balanced. At the same time, he tried to show equality between both. So this is one example I can think of, besides the rest.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is a very wonderful example. Yudhishthir Maharaj facing Yaksha's quiz and successfully answering those questions, and even while protecting, bringing back all his brothers back to life, how he chose the sequence. That is very important. Thank you. Any other devotee would like to quote any other example of equanimity of Maharaj? Maybe one more example. Is it my network or the devotee's network? I don't know. Adidev Prabhu, you are trying to say something, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna, or any other devotee, can we think of any one example before we proceed? All right. So other example is also of forgiving Ashwatthama that we saw in the few chapters back. That when Ashwatthama performed a very ghastly, non-befitting activity to a Brahmana by killing the sleeping sons of Pandavas, along with Draupadi, even Yudhishthir Maharaj was of the opinion to forgive Ashwatthama. So it is very easy for a person to lose his or her balance and try to have vengeance towards such a person who has committed ghastly activity. But Maharaj Yudhishthir remained completely balanced and in his senses, and wanted to basically forgive Ashwatthama and let him go, because of he being the son of their teacher. And for Lord Brahma, can we think of any example? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, maybe we'll take one example of equanimity. Of course, Prabhupada gives one example, how when the gopis, they blamed Lord Brahma for not being a perfect creator, having created eyelids which need to blink, and gopis used to feel inconvenience of not being able to see Krishna for the time duration when the eyelid blinks. So they considered Lord Brahma as not a very intelligent creator, that he created the body in which eyelids need to blink. And Brahma took it very, very gracefully, considering the high stature of gopis in devotional service. Any other example can we think of, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, of Lord Brahma's equanimity?
Prabhu, I can think of one, but you might have to correct it if the context is right or wrong. So I'm not very sure. So one thing is when Brahma actually prayed the Brahma Vimochana Leela, after that, he regrets and apologizes to Krishna. So that is why he is reborn as Haridas Thakur with absolutely in a Mlecha community. So which is actually not required because he's a very elevated soul. Will this also fit this, Prabhu? I'm not very sure. So that is why I'm checking.
Yeah, so he did not have to take birth of Haridas Thakur as a obligation, but it was his own choice.
Sure.
He out of his humility wanted to have that birth and assist Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So okay, this is any other. There are many incidences even from Lord Brahma's life. Other devotees can be requested. Don't worry about being wrong. Okay, nobody will judge you. At least we are trying to learn from these all great personalities. Any example of Lord Brahma's equanimity? Ajit Tiwari Prabhu, Ananda Prada Indulekha Mataji, Devika Mataji, Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji. You want to try? Rasarangini Mataji, are devotees able to unmute?
They are able to unmute, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay. Then why everyone is so quiet? Divya Rukmini Mataji, Hare Krishna. Example of Lord Brahma's equanimity. Equanimity basically means balanced state of mind. There are so many examples. See, when Dhruva Maharaja's stepbrother Uttama was killed by the who was he killed by? The treasurers, basically Gandharvas.
No, Yakshas.
Yaksha. Sorry, come again, Prabhuji.
Yakshas.
Yeah. So when Dhruva Maharaj attacked Alkapuri, the capital of the Yakshas, he was annihilating the Yakshas left, right, and center. And at one time, even being overwhelmed by the illusory energy that was created, illusion that was created by the Yakshas, Dhruva came out of it and went full throttle in annihilating the Yakshas. It was Lord Brahma who stopped him at a point in time that, my dear boy, Dhruva, that one Yaksha or a group of Yakshas killed your own brother Uttama, and you are trying to give punishment to the whole Yaksha race by annihilating them. This is excess. This is not fair. And whatever you have punishment you have meted out, that is good enough. You should control your anger now. And Brahma was able to immediately the war stopped between Dhruva and the Yakshas. Similarly, when Maharaj Parikshit's own son, Janamejaya, being upset because of the snake bird Takshaka biting and causing the departure of his father, Parikshit Maharaj, he conducted a sacrifice in which the snakes from all over the world, they were being brought into and annihilated in the sacrificial fire. It was Lord Brahma who again pacified Janamejaya that whatever had to happen happened because of a will of the Lord for a higher purpose, and we should understand it in that particular manner. So for one snake bird, Takshaka, you cannot annihilate the entire snake race. It is too much excess than what has happened. And immediately the sacrifice was also stopped. So there are so many incidences like that. We see that even the great demons, they confronted with various devatas, but not with Brahma, including Hiranyakashipu, including Ravana. That means Brahma had that equanimity, that balance of mind. Even when he was laughed upon for the temporary fall down, what Lord Brahma possessed, it wasn't like he was angry, mad, and cursed the offenders, but subsequently the offenders were punished because Lord Krishna did not appreciate his devotee being derided in that particular manner. So all these incidences, we can understand the presence of mind, the equanimity, the mental balance that is displayed by these exemplary personalities like Maharaj Yudhishthira and Lord Brahma. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, on this particular point? So Parikshit Maharaj is being compared to these great personalities in terms of his equanimity, like he protecting even Kali and all that, offering protection to Kali. So we proceed. Yeah, and this point was covered, I think, by earlier by Mataji, how Maharaj Parikshit was munificent. Munificent means big-hearted person, very generous, liberal. An example is given of Lord Shiva and the famous episode of Lord Shiva granting the boon to Vrakasur of annihilating any person on whose head he would place his hand upon. So this we have discussed. Any other point, group 2 devotees, Lalita Vinodini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. That's all from this 23rd verse I could get.
Okay.
And I could get, I was helped by Radhika Mataji. And then on 24th, she told me, Ranti Deva for generous magnanimity, and Yayati for following religious principles.
For Ranti Deva, you want to explain, Mataji, briefly what is his glory?
Prabhuji, that's what I said. I didn't go through the purport at all.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
I just shifted my house and I'm busy with my rearranging things and all that. Workers are there at home.
No problem, Mataji.
I can help her, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Rantidev actually is very generous because there was a time when all three of them came as guest Atidhi to Rantidev when Rantidev had his meal, and I'm making the long story short, wherein he was willing to give up everything for them, right? So all three, literally his last drop of water also he gave. So Rantidev is known for his magnanimity because so he was extremely kind-hearted that way. And obviously they gave boon thereafter. So that is about Rantidev. We want to add some more? That's the only point I know about Rantidev.
Thank you much. So thank you, Rasarangini Mataji, for sharing this, because even this particular purport of Srila Prabhupada does not explain about Maharaj Rantidev's glorious life, but it is subsequently explained in later cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see that the great personalities again came in the form of a Brahmana, a Chandala, and his dogs. Basically, Chandala is a dog eater. So Maharaj Rantidev had fasted for a very long period of time, and when it was time for breaking the fast, first a hungry Brahmana came to his doorstep asking for food in charity. So Maharaj Rantidev offered half part of whatever prasadam just he was about to honor. And then a Chandala came and he offered the remaining food. And then the Chandala said, my dogs are also hungry. And he offered his remaining food and water also. So left nothing for himself. So that was the great generosity of Maharaj Rantidev. And similar to Maharaj Shivi, even these great personalities who had appeared in the form of the Brahmana, the Chandala, and the dogs, they all transform into their original form. So Maharaj Parikshit is compared with these great personalities in terms of his munificent nature. Munificent means liberal nature. So let me see if any other point we have missed.
Yes, Prabhu, Krishna. He's Krishna for his goodness, most important point.
The child will be as good as Lord Krishna, Lord Shri Krishna. And in the purport, what does Prabhupada mention? That a perfected being can inherit about 78% of the characteristics of the Lord. And similarly, great personalities like Maharaj Parikshit also display those characteristics. Yeah, here Prabhupada mentioned, as we have discussed previously, one can achieve 78% of the godly qualities by the Lord's intimate association. To follow the instruction of the Lord is to associate with the Lord. So Maharaj Parikshit is glorified in this manner. Maharaj Rantidev we discussed, then we proceed. Yayati Maharaj, we discussed about briefly his story about Yayati Maharaj marrying Devayani, the daughter of Shukracharya, and subsequent story proceeding with Yayati Maharaj getting attached to Sharmishta and then exchanging his youth with Yadu, and then subsequently blessing Yadu and Yadu Maharaj becoming the source of Yadu dynasty.
Prabhu, sorry for interrupting, but I'm not able to pick what is great about Yanti Dev, because the rest of them I'm able to follow.
Ranti Dev.
No, not Ranti Dev. Our Yayati. Sorry. Yayati.
Yeah, so see, all these great personalities, including Yayati, including Pururava, the greatness is how they learned lessons from their own examples after going through it because of their attachment to a particular personality. In case of Maharaj Yayati, his attachment subsequent fall down in terms of attachment to Devayani and then to Sharmishta, how they later on came to their own senses. So their realizations after going through their experiences in sense gratification is what makes them great. Like in English, we have that saying, all is well that ends well. So all these personalities are great because ultimately they went back to Godhead, and through their examples they are teaching what not to do.
Clear, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So scriptures mention there are 4 levels of personalities. The topmost is one who learns by hearing. Second class is one who learns by observing, by seeing. Third class is one who learns by experiencing. And fourth class is one who has struggled even after experiencing. So scripture Bhagavatam is trying to make us first class by giving all these examples that we hear about them, we learn through their examples. In case we still need a bit more realization, then probably we have to experience it also then. Hare Krishna. Then are we done with the verses? There are more verses, right, Mataji, for your group 2? Any other?
Yeah, she will tell. Hare Krishna.
25th is Bali Maharaj for his patience. He had given the 3 boons, knowing that Vishnu has come, Krishna has come for taking alms, but then he didn't go back from his words. Like he wanted to give alms and then totally surrender. He surrendered himself to
Vamanadev. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And
the upper line with his one leg and the lower. Hare Krishna.
Yes, please go ahead, Mataji.
I have internet connection unstable. I'm getting. Yeah. So on the third step, he could not. He didn't. Lord didn't get any place to keep his foot. So he Bali Maharaj gave himself to. So that shows us surrender to the Lord. And then we had one more Prahlad Maharaj devotion. Whatever, he was put into trouble by his father, but then he was very devoted. And he was saved by Narasimha. And in 26th verse, Kali Purusha, though he was given protection by Lord himself. Whenever, during Ekadashi, whoever is taking, he used to stay in grains. Whoever takes grains, he will stay in grains, and then he'll catch those people. So first, he chastiser of irreligious people. So that Kali Purusha is meant for that. So these examples was noted on.
Thank you. And this is a very important point which Lalita Vinodini Mataji just mentioned, that all those sins are stored in grains, and whoever consumes those grains on the day of Ekadashi. But exception is those devotees who may have some bodily constraints because of which they are not able to follow the Ekadashi Vrata, or young infants or nursing mothers. They are the exceptions. But everybody else who has a able body should try to restrict ourselves. And what is the other place? One more place, Mataji, which Parikshit Maharaj gave to Kali to recite. There is one more place.
Slaughter.
Gold.
Gold. Where excess amount of gold is accumulated. So this we should always remember, right? Especially in the family, we see many a times, like whenever my wife or mother, they ask for gold, I always point them to this, that if you don't want Kali in house, then we have to regulate it. Otherwise, Kali would surely be there.
But practical example we just saw, no, Prabhuji, in Ambani's house. They have a lot of gold. They are still doing very well.
Very well. Yeah. So yes, we follow the principle. Yeah. not the.
Prabhu, I have a doubt on this point, Prabhu. Just 1 second. So, women, we know it's an issue. Slaughterhouses is like non-vegetarian. There are some 5 rules I read in Bhagavatam where the sin gets distributed. I remember you telling also earlier that not only the eater, but the maker or someone who gives non-veg. So, such 5 people are also affected. So, does the same apply to wine also, Prabhu? Because why I'm asking is I think today culture is people don't, even some who don't drink. This was someone who asked me and I was not sure. But they gift wine bottles. That is also sinful, not drinking, but then giving to somebody. Will that also be counted as sinful, Prabhu?
Yes, definitely, Mataji. That those who are facilitating all these, breakers of the religious 4 rules, 4 pillars of religion, they would also be part of that sinful activity for sure.
Clear, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Only one point is, for wine, of course, we are not condoning it, but a different variety of wine exists in the higher planetary systems. So it is not just earthly planet which has a 3rd grade wine, but devatas also have their own similar beverage. And of course, main point is because it causes forgetfulness of Krishna. So as devotees, we stay away from it.
But they can have no, Prabhu. Higher planets, that Somaras you're talking about, or Varuni.
Yeah. What to speak of devatas, even in this planet, Prabhupada explains in some of his purport that some classes of humans, like especially the Kshatriyas, they have some slight concessions and all. But in general, the rule still applies for devotees that these 4 indulgences, they cause forgetfulness of Lord Krishna. So we restrain ourselves from it. But just to point out, there are some personalities in the higher planetary systems and some persons even in the current planets like the Kshatriyas and all who have got this concession.
Clear, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
One more question, Prabhuji. When we see mention wine, it's all intoxicants, isn't it? It's just not wine. It's just not wine.
Yes,
Prabhuji. All intoxicants.
All intoxicants. Hare Krishna. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, any other point from your group? Or any other devotee from group 2? All right. So now we proceed to group 3, which is the last 3 texts in glorious characteristics of Maharaj Parikshit, 27 till 29th. Who will be presenting from group 3?
I will present, sir.
Okay. Venkata Narasimha. Yes, ma'am.
The first one is he is attached to the Lord from the beginning of his life. That is when he was in the mother's womb, he saw the Lord, and from then onwards he is in touch with the Lord. That is one question, character. And when the son of Brahmana's son cursed him, when he knows it, he has not taken it or any revenge or anything, but just he said that it is God's will and I will obey it, and so that he will go back to the God's back to home, go to the God. That is how he has thought it, and he never bothered about it. And then he has gone to the Ganges bank, and then he was meditating there, and after taking that one, he has taken the advice or these teachings from the Sukadeva Goswami, and then he has left his body at the bank of the Ganges and attained the Lord.
Thank you, Venkata Narasimha Prabhu.
And in the last one, Prabhupada has compared comparison given to Vipra, Brahmana, and Vaishnava also.
Yes. What is the main point of difference between Vipra and a Brahmana?
Vipra is for the Karma Kanda, Brahmana is spiritual thing.
Yes, very nice. So Vipra in general, both are well qualified in the scriptural matters and all, But Vipra is more relevant to utilizing that scriptural knowledge for karma kanda, fruitive activities. Like say, for example, very simple. If you say the science of astrology, Prabhupada mentions the science of astrology is not just for future telling, which forms a very small part of it, but majorly it is for knowing what to do, when to do a particular activity, what is the right time to do a particular activity. So these Vipras, they can give guidance to the royal order in terms of when they should set their foot outside, when they should, if they want to go for excursion, what is the right time. So when to perform a particular activity to get the maximum benefit out of it in material life, so fruitive activities. Whereas the Brahmana is more devoted towards utilizing that scriptural knowledge for spiritual advancement, for guiding, excuse me, oops, Krishna, for guiding different classes of society towards spiritual advancement. So specifically, the example, there are many examples, but one example I have given is of Sudama Brahman. And one of some part of the scriptures, you will find these words being used interchangeably. So don't get confused. Say, for example, for Sudama, few places we do find Vipra word is also used, but don't judge him based on that. Subsequently, after Lord Krishna granted him all the opulence, still Sudama, he remained unaffected and he completely remained devoted to Lord Krishna. That itself proves his mettle, that itself proves his devotion and character. So this is the difference between a Vipra and a Brahmana. Vipra is more of a Karma Kanda expert versus Brahmana is able to use this knowledge of the Vedic scriptures to guide for spiritual advancement. And in the earlier part of this particular chapter, we have seen how Prabhupada explains that Brahmanas, there is a mutual cooperation between Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, where Kshatriyas take care that Brahmanas don't have to worry about their own material upkeeping. That is taken care by Kshatriyas, whereas the Brahmanas devote their entire life for the spiritual upliftment of other sections of the society, so that they don't have to worry about their food, clothing, and shelter. They can devote their time and energy for the entire society. And in that way, Prabhupada mentioned that such Brahmanas, by the literal word meaning of it, need not be a pauper, because they do get in charity land, cows, sometimes jewel, sometimes other animals, so on and so forth. But in their consciousness, they are not attached to any of these possessions. They are completely detached. And we can see in the life of Srila Prabhupada, if you see some of his photos, you will find a golden watch in his left hand, or you will find a golden ring in his little finger. But Prabhupada was never attached to it. What he used to do, that somebody would gift him something, he would take out his earlier possession and give it to some devotee and accept the new one, or probably that new one also he would give to some other devotee. So as a pure devotee of the Lord, such a personality is never attached to any of these. In fact, there is a famous section in Srila Prabhupada's last days, which is mentioned in Tamal Krishna Maharaj's diary, TKG's diary. Oops, 1 second. So where Srila Prabhupada takes out his ring on his deathbed and hands that ring to Tamal Krishna Maharaj and mentions that this is for, give it to George Harrison, because he helped me. That means George Harrison helped Srila Prabhupada. When did he help Srila Prabhupada? At which critical moment? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what was his special contribution? Help to Prabhupada? Anyone? If not, you can check the first page of Krishna book, and where Srila Prabhupada mentions his gratitude to different personalities. Specifically, he did acknowledge the contribution of George Harrison in publishing Krishna book. So I don't recollect the exact amount of Lakshmi, but it was a significant amount, something like $5,000+ at that point in time, what George Harrison had given to enable the publishing of Krishna book. And Srila Prabhupada at his last moment.
And I may add, Prabhu,
Yes, P.S. Murthy Prabhuji, please.
and he also donated all his property in London to ISKCON.
Yeah, the Piggott Manor, which later on became Bhaktivedanta Manor.
They had in London.
Yes, Prabhuji, Bhaktivedanta Manor. So, because of that, Prabhupada remained forever so affectionate that this particular personality had helped me, and at that particular point in time, when ISKCON was not sufficiently endowed with supporting publications and all that, and Prabhupada gave his ring to Tamal Krishna Maharaj remembering. So the point is, such Brahmanas, although they may receive all the facilities, they are not at all attached to any of these facilities. They are completely devoted to serving the social setup in uplifting their spiritual consciousness. So we proceed. We are trying to conclude this chapter in today's discussion. So let us see. Venkata Narsimha Prabhu, any other point, Prabhuji? If not, we can proceed.
I think Vandita Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vandita Mataji, come again.
Gambling, Judah is the Tamoguna example, Prabhuji. That's why Dharmaraja is playing Judah. Why?
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. We are talking about this current context, what we are discussing, which is
okay, Prabhuji. With Kauravas, he is doing playing Judah, Prabhuji.
Yes, that is
Please
a different.
explain. Please explain, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We will. Is it okay if we take this question in the end, Vandita Mataji?
This question is coming for my 18 days classes, Prabhuji.
Sure. You ping me the question, Mataji. Let me understand it fully, then I will explain. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So we proceed. Next is about text 30 to text 36, which explains about Maharaj Parikshit's growth and Yudhishthir Maharaj performing a sacrifice in repentance of his sins, what he considers as his sins. So let us go through these verses quickly. Any devotee would like to volunteer to read just the translations? Text 30 onwards. 1 second. Yeah. Sada Tushta Achyuta Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Yeah. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So his son would become famous in the world as Parikshit, examiner, because he would come to examine all human beings in his search. After that personality whom he saw before his birth, thus he would come to constantly contemplate him.
Yes. So here the Brahmanas are now foretelling the glorious characteristics and subsequent future of Maharaj Parikshit, saying how he would be known as a Parikshit, as an examiner, to see who was that personality who he saw in the mother's womb. So constantly contemplating on Lord Krishna. Text 31, please go ahead, Prabhuji. As the moon.
As the moon in its waxing fortnight develops day after day, so the royal prince Parikshit very soon developed luxuriantly under the care and full facilities of his guardian grandfathers.
Yes, the Pandavas. Then?
Just at this time, King Yudhishthira was considering performing a horse sacrifice to get freed from sins incurred from fighting with king's men. But he became anxious to get some wealth, for there were no surplus funds outside of fines and tax collection.
Thank you. So before we go to this particular point of Maharaj Yudhishthir conducting a sacrifice, let us see about Srila Prabhupada describing the importance of giving Krishna conscious impressions to the child from the very beginning of his birth. So we will go through 30th text, 30th purport. Sadatushta Prabhu, just hold on. I would request you to read some part of the purport.
Okay.
So yes, let's start with the purport, Prabhu.
Yeah. Prabhupada, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaja Parikshit, fortunate as he was, got the impression of the Lord even in the womb of his mother, and thus his contemplation on the Lord was constantly with him. Once the impression of the transcendental form of the Lord is fixed in one's mind, one can never forget him in any circumstances. Child Parikshit, after coming out of the womb, was in the habit of examining everyone to see whether he was the same personality whom he first saw in the womb. But no one could be equal to or more attractive than the Lord, and therefore he never accepted anyone. But the Lord was constantly with him by such examination, and thus Maharaja Parikshit was always engaged in devotional service of the Lord by remembrance. Srila Jiva Goswami remarks in this connection that every child, if given an impression of the Lord from his very childhood, certainly becomes a great devotee of the Lord like Maharaja Parikshit. One may not be as fortunate as Maharaja Parikshit to have the opportunity to see the Lord in the womb of his mother, but even if he is not so fortunate, he can be made so if the parents of the child desire him to be so. There is a practical example in my personal life in this connection. My father was a pure devotee of the Lord, and when I was only 4 or 5 years old, my father gave me a couple of forms of Radha and Krishna. In a playful manner, I used to worship these deities along with my sister, and I used to imitate the performance of a neighborhood temple of Radha Govinda. By constantly visiting this neighboring temple and copying the ceremony in connection with my own deities of play, I developed a natural affinity for the Lord. My father used to observe all the ceremonies befitting my position. Later on, these activities were suspended due to my association in the schools and colleges, and I became completely out of practice. But in my youthful days, when I met my spiritual master, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, again I revived my old habit, and same playful deities became my worshipful deities in proper regulation. This was followed up until I left the family connection, and I am pleased that my generous father gave me the first impression, which was developed later into regulative devotional service by his divine grace. Maharaja Prahlad also advised that such impression of a godly relation must be impregnated from the beginning of the childhood. Otherwise, one may miss the opportunity of the human form of life, which is very valuable, although it is temporary like others. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
So here, Srila Prabhupada stresses the importance of giving spiritual impressions right from the beginning of one's childhood and giving his own example. So in a nursery school, I had read a very nice statement that it read that children are great imitators. So give them something great to imitate. That means it is easiest teach children Krishna consciousness, provided parent just put a very good example in home in terms of worshipping the deity, in terms of following proper sadhana, in terms of proper behavior with one another, and child would automatically pick up. And Srila Prabhupada, he shows his gratitude to his father time and again in Bhaktivedanta purports, also in I think it is the Krishna book, where in the acknowledgement, Srila Prabhupada mentions, in the dedication, Srila Prabhupada mentions that this book is dedicated to my father, Gaura Mohan De, who gave the Krishna consciousness impressions from very childhood and who was a pure devotee of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada expresses his gratitude towards his father for giving Krishna consciousness right from the very beginning. And all these pictures we see from that, Srila Prabhupada's journey pictorial representation. And even now, my request to all the devotees, if you happen to visit Kolkata on the way to Mayapur, do consider staying in Kolkata, at least spending a day, because guided tours are available now by ISKCON Kolkata. Take us to all the places where Srila Prabhupada had his childhood, and he Hare Krishna. Rasarangini Mataji, can you check for the background sound, please?
Yes, Prabhu, on it.
Yeah. So wherever Srila Prabhupada spent his days growing up, all those places of pastimes of our founder Acharya, we can see those places and have a devotee describe to us significance of those places. And ISKCON Kolkata is arranging guided tours, and they have started this since few years, I think since last 5-6 years, when ISKCON acquired the place of Srila Prabhupada's birth and so many other places. Okay, so it's very, very important. In fact, this Kartik, when I'm aspiring to go to Mayapur Yatra, we have also planned a 2 days halt in Kolkata and have contacted the Kolkata temple to visit these places of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. So they are very, very faith increasing places. Hare Krishna. So now we go into the conclusion part of this particular chapter. And then in the last part, we have total 36 verses. So in the last part of this chapter, we see Maharaj Yudhishthir considering performing a sacrifice in order to please Lord Krishna. So in the interest of time, we won't go through the complete verse and the purports, but we will go to selected part of the purport. So anyone would like to read? If not, I would request Geeta Pradeep Mataji. Geeta Mataji, 1 second. Jagadananda Murari Prabhu, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji. You can.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, importance of performing sacrifice to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Text 34. Let any man of any place or community, caste or creed be engaged in any sort of occupational duty, but he must agree to perform the sacrifices as it is recommended in the scriptures for the particular place, time, and person. In the Vedic literatures, it is recommended that in Kali Yuga, people engage in glorifying the Lord by chanting the holy name of Krishna. Kirtanand eva Krishnaya mukta sangha param brijat, without offense. By doing so, one can be freed from all sins and thus can attain the highest perfection of life by returning home back to Godhead. We have already discussed this more than once in this great literature in different places, especially in the introductory portion by sketching the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and still we are repeating the same with the view to bring about peace and prosperity in society. And to save them all, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propounded the Sankirtana movement or Yagna for all practical purposes, and the people of the present age are strongly recommended to follow this sure and recognized path.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is, as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, whatever be the state of our life, even if we become a king or we stay pauper or we stay in between, one should not give up 3 activities: yagya, dana, and tapa. Sacrifice, austerity, and charity, and specifically sacrifice Srila Prabhupada stresses as the Sankirtana Yagya. So we see Yudhishthir Maharaj, even though being such a great personality who has already been confirmed by Lord Krishna that, look, you are not the reason for all these massacre, all these Kshatriyas losing their lives, but still he is very concerned and insistent on performing a sacrifice, both for purification and more importantly for pleasing the Supreme Lord, to satisfy Supreme Lord Krishna. And in order to conduct these sacrifices, whatever wealth Lakshmi is needed, he is not utilizing from the tax collection. So he was very careful about that. And subsequently it is explained some of the resources which he advised his brothers to tap upon to collect the Lakshmi, to collect the wealth that was required for performing these sacrifices. Lord Krishna also guided Yudhishthir Maharaj for arranging this wealth, and these sacrifices were performed by Yudhishthir Maharaj. And with this, we conclude this particular chapter upon about the glorious birth and characteristics of Maharaj Parikshit. So, any devotees have any questions? And Vandita Mataji, coming back to your question, let me see the question properly and then I will answer it as the first point in our next session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Overall, I'm going through this. After you finish this, one doubt I have is so far we've seen, and the heading of the first canto is creation. Not able to actually pick what, where is the link to creation in this, Prabhu?
Okay, very good question. Why has Srila Prabhupada mentioned the name of the first chapter as creation? Even this I will have to go through, Mataji. Basically, the first, second, third canto are mentioned as Sarga and Visarga, primary and secondary creation. But we have not yet actually started discussing about creation. We are still discussing the background about it.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll come back, Mataji. I will have to check.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Actually, creation is a title. Srila Prabhupada has given different title in the Meghdut diary, Jaladut diary.
Okay.
The diary that he created while coming on that somewhere in the October month, he has mentioned as a different title for this first chapter and first canto, sorry. And the first canto actually deals with the adhikar tattva, adhikar of the listener and adhikar of the speaker, tattva rather than the creation at all. So I would kindly suggest look into the Jaldut diary and that will give the title. That's the title that he suggested. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Let me check through. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other devotees have any questions? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
I wanted to know, Prabhu, is there exam for chapter 12 in the next week?
Yes, we will ask all devotees readiness, Prabhuji, because I just want to make sure that all devotees have cleared all other, there are no backlogs pending. Okay. Attendance link I have just shared. So you can mark your attendance.
Prabhuji, I need some time after the class to do the exam.
Yes, Prabhuji, that is fine, Prabhuji.
And Prabhuji, good wishes, best luck for your travel.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. You pray that I come back for good quickly.
Yeah. Yes, we want you here.
Rasarangini Mataji, you can stop the recording. I'm not able to stop it.
Yes, and we'll not end the meeting, Prabhu, because we will have.
Sure.
Trying to stop.
Any other devotees have any questions, comments on this particular? So, Sadatushta Achyuta Prabhu, if you are available today, yes, I have shared the details with Rasarangini Mataji. You can attend the test. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. So, we will conclude now. I will leave Rasarangini Mataji to proceed.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Divya Rukmini Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, I have something to tell. It's actually, I am leaving to India on next Sunday. On August is my daughter's wedding. So, and I will be back on September 7th only, around 1